It makes me want to change my whole talk, but I'm not going to do that. Happy Mother's Day! I guess this hat is why Lily thinks I'm ridiculous. Actually, I can't wear it and talk at the same time, so I have to take it off. It's like choking me. So today is a little bit different than a normal Sunday, yeah? We're very excited to be able to help be here with you guys and help support the service and be a part of the congregation, and the kids are still in the service. So I'm going to ask you all to extend with me even a little bit farther in terms of what we traditionally do up here, and I'm not going to spend the whole time talking. I am actually going to ask for a little bit of your involvement so we can keep the kids engaged too. So just know that that's coming. I promise we won't do any role plays. No skits. A couple of weeks ago when we were deciding that we were going to do this, I asked Gonzalo, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And he said, well, talk about the experience of being a mother. And I thought, okay, I can do that. How many of you have had the experience, a physical experience of carrying a child in your body? Yes, there are many of us. And we can look at the physical to kind of get our own internal understanding of the metaphysical, right? Process of pregnancy and birth is glorious and wonderful, and you get all these great ideas, and you have all these dreams about your children, and you get all excited, and about 5 months you feel that little butterfly flitter, and you're like, oh, my baby, and you're already like walking like this, holding the baby in the belly. You know, you all did it, right? Dad might be there holding the belly too. We listened to music, they were still in my belly. It's wonderful. And it is damn hard. It's hard. Your body does things you did not think your body could do. It gets big. I was a beach ball. Huge. You're hot. When I was pregnant with Jack, with Lily. I had Lily in April. When I was pregnant with Lily, was the only winter I wasn't cold. You got all this blood in you, right? You're hot, your ankles swell, your back hurts. Pretty soon that butterfly flutter is like kicking you in the kidneys and pushing on your diaphragm. You can't breathe anymore, and you get to a point where you think, this is never going to end. How am I going to get through this? It's hard work. And then I don't care what your birthing experience is like, that is also hard work. I delivered both of my children with midwives at birth center, so I didn't go to the hospital, which means there was no medicine. So you know, again, your body does some things you did not think your body could do. And then you get to the end of it, and you're holding this experience, this little bundle of joy and warmth and, you know, pretty little eyes and tiny toes and perfect little ears, and it was just this little goop of cytoplasm in your body just 9 months previous, right? So from this glob of goop, as Bev would say, you go through all of this work and all of this effort with this idea, with this thought in your mind that it's going to be amazing and magnificent, and then the baby comes and it is. It's amazing and it's magnificent. And so if we use that experience, that very physical experience, you can draw forth some metaphysical meaning in that, because motherhood is about more than just a physical mother. Motherhood is an energy of spirit, and it's in everybody. It's in men and it's in women. I have a quote here, two quotes actually. One of them is from William Golden. He was the author of Lord of the Flies. Yes? Anybody read that book or see that movie? Apparently there was a reason he didn't put a little girl on that island, because he didn't think that they would have disintegrated to such a level if there had been some girls on the island, which I thought was interesting, right? He's quoted to have said, whatever you give a woman, she will make greater. And then another author, his name is Eric Gray, he says, if you give a woman, and I'm paraphrasing, if you give a woman DNA, she'll give you a baby. If you give her a house, she will give you a home. If you buy her groceries, she will give you a meal. She multiplies and enlarges whatever you give her. Now, one of these lines here, it says, if you give her groceries, she'll give you a meal. Really stuck with me. Gonzalo and I are foodies. We spend a lot of time in our kitchen. It's not even a really big kitchen, but we spend a lot of time there, and we enjoy cooking. And I'll tell you something, Gonzalo is one of the best cooks I've ever met. And you can bring him into a room, into a kitchen, with almost nothing, right? And he will create a magnificent meal for you. And that is the spirit of motherhood. You take something, an idea, the raw ingredients, the minerals that are involved in it, and you put all of those things together and you create the conditions necessary in order to transform it into something better, right? And everybody in this room has had the experience of doing that, right? I'm sure Andy does that with his woodworking. You know, you have this raw material, and then we have this beautiful jewelry box or this beautiful lamp, because he's able to see it and do to it what it needs to become amazing, right? I'm sure Greg does the same thing with your music, yeah? You have an idea or a thought or a feeling, and either the words come or the melody comes, and pretty soon we have something that makes Bev cry on Sunday morning, right? How many of you have not had that experience? Male or female, you all have. And those conditions are what the essence of motherhood is really about, bringing those conditions together. You know? Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm sure you all know Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh says, in April, we cannot see the sunflowers in France. So we say the sunflowers do not exist. But the local farmers have already planted thousands of seeds. And when they look at those bare hills, they may be able to see the sunflowers already. The sunflowers are there. They lack only the conditions of sun, heat, rain, and July. Just because we cannot see them does not mean they do not exist, right? And that's what it's about. That's what that energy of motherhood is really about, providing those conditions. When you think about, as Daniel put together that amazing meditation, wasn't that amazing? He wrote that on his own. I just want you all to know. He did a really good job. In that meditation, he asked for us to think of that person that's provided those conditions for us. Who is the person that, when you think of on your life, gave you what you needed in order to go to the next step? And for some people, it wasn't just your mother. Most of us had many, many people in our lives that have done that for us, right? Daniel, who did you think of? Anyone else? What? Anyone else? Just your mom? It can totally be your dad, right? It can totally be your dad. Melanie, what about you? Who'd you think of?
About my mom, my dance teacher, high school 10th grade teacher.
10th grade teacher.
My minister.
Your minister? Very good. Very good. Laura, who did you think of?
My mom.
Uh-huh.
And
Rev Bev. Very good. What about you, Winnie?
Definitely my mom,
Uh-huh.
but also my mentor who retired December last year, who's really helped me along in my career.
That's good. Career thing. Awesome. So it can be many people, and it usually is. It's many people for us. You know, for me, it was my mom, my dad. My dad very much had an influence on the conditions that I needed to grow into who I am. Different people that I've met throughout my, time in college, deciding to go to college. I'm sure there was a teacher there that helped me make that decision, right? And in some cases, even my kids help me, give me the conditions I need to grow and be better. They might not always be pleasant, but the conditions are there, right? It's an opportunity for me to step into something greater of myself. So I'd encourage you all to think about that for just a few minutes. What we're going to do, okay, we have some supplies here. Because the other thing that the mother helps to do is creates the home, right? The idea of the home and Home is about family. Home is about relationships. Home is about community. And that's very much what we have here at the church. You know, when a year or so ago, when we were moving into this space, Bev did a magnificent job at guiding us through the process of coming into this building. We had meditations and mastermind services, and she asked us, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What is in your mind? What is in your heart? How do we bring that into, and we have it in this space. And we've transitioned into this space beautifully. And so what's the next step into bringing this community closer together? How do we do that? How do we take this mother spirit in all of us? What conditions are we bringing in here to make this an even bigger and better family, right? How do we create this into the home that we needed and wanted? Because that's what the mother does. Now, typically, the idea comes first, right? If you're reading in Genesis, you know, first is the idea. And then there's this manifestation, and the manifestation is the mother, the bringing forth of the idea into the physical world. So even though Father's Day is after Mother's Day, we're gonna kind of take this and we're gonna create some things. The kids are passing out some flower petals. And pens, please raise your hand. We'll make sure everybody gets some pens. Work together, you know? Turn around, find the people behind you, find the people to the left and right. I mean, we don't want to play musical chairs. We obviously don't have time for that. But, you know, find some people to group together and think about what are the ideas, what are the hopes, what are the dreams, what are the ambitions that we have that we want to create together in this little space? And I want you to write those on the flower petals because that's what we're going to grow into. And on one side, write the idea. And on the other side, write the condition that you need in order for that idea to manifest. So for example, for myself, like I really want a vibrant and dynamic and powerful youth program, right? That's what I want. What conditions do I need to put into place to make that happen? Well, we need to engage the kids regularly in service. We need to bring together, you know, things like that are happening with the men's group when we're going to the ball game in June, to make those family events occur, to open up and invite other people to come in and join us and be a part of that so we can grow, so we can be bigger, so that we can have that energy in here. And those are the conditions. So I have to create or help create those conditions. So what do you want to see? What kind of community do you imagine when you think of UCR? And then what are you asked to do? What condition do you have to fulfill in order for that to happen? Does that make sense? Y'all fine? I'm getting some of this, and I'm getting some of this. Right? That's okay. That's good. Talk about it. That's what we ask the kids to do in class. We say, talk about it. Right? Congregate.
Question.
Yes.
Is this our personal life or UCR family life?
However you would like to do it. I want everybody to focus on UCR, but you do what you need to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually collect all of these back out and put them up all over the church. 4 minutes. No, 3 minutes. 3-4 minutes. Yes. Talk. Do you want more family outings? Do you want more classes? Do you want to see, you know, more community service? Do you want to see more support for a particular organization? How do you want to come together as a family? Do you guys have flower petals too? You don't want flower petals? You have a flower petal.
So humble.
So we'll, for those of you who don't know, we're streaming this live right now on Facebook. Hi, Facebook. Very nice to see you. If you're on Facebook, you can do this too. And then send your flower petals to us. We'll put them up. It'll be great. It's fascinating to watch people think. And they're like, I'm going to do that now since I'm not talking. Do it. I can't get it. Go. A little different. This is your homework early. Bev always gives you homework at the end of the service. You got to do it in class today. And more fundraising events, more homecoming events.
That's what I'm talking about, right there.
That's the dance?
That's it.
Maybe it's retreats. Maybe it's, bringing people from outside of the community into the community. A few more minutes. And then you guys can just hold on to these and we'll just drop them in the offering bags as they come around. Right? So we have to do something to keep the kids engaged. I appreciate you humoring me with this.
Can you make sure that the word gets all
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we can collect them somewhere else then. Okay, that's fine. It looks like most everybody's just about done. There are a few more people still writing. We don't want to take up too much of this, but today when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, that's really what I wanted to talk about. To me, it was about community, and this mother's essence, this mother spirit, this divine creation, this divine manifester. And how can we use that to create that community here? I know one of the things that we come here every week is because Bev speaks to us. Her messages are practical and helpful and inspiring. And I want, as a mother, to provide the best conditions that I can for my children. And that means including them in a place like this, a place of love and acceptance. For those of you who may not know, my son is in the back, Jack. Jack has autism. Jack was diagnosed with autism at about 3, and we were coming to the church regularly then. And I remember talking to Melanie about it one day, and she was so like, oh, he's fine, everything's gonna be okay, it's all right. And there was a lot of hope in that conversation with her. But the diagnosis came anyway, and it was an interesting pill to have to swallow, that. We kept coming to church, and one day, without any prompting, when the kids were brought up for the blessing at the end, Jack was allowed to come up. And up until that point, he hadn't come up yet. And I was sitting in the congregation, and at this time I wasn't actively involved in the youth program, and Laura did that all on her own. And nobody was really sure how Jack was going to respond, and nobody was really sure what Jack was going to do. But Laura saw in him a beautiful little boy and allowed him to be a part of the rest of the kids' experience when they were up here. And I cried. I'm trying really hard not to cry now. I know. I'm all squishy. And that moment, I knew that this was a place that I could come with my children and they would be loved, regardless of what they came in with. And so I want to continue to create those conditions so that that can be present for anybody who walks into this space. Because we're beautiful. We're amazing. And we have a great life and a great energy and a tremendous message that comes from a really amazing leader. And I know that I want to be a part of taking that energy, those ideas, and widening that circle as big as we could get it. I want the whole state of North Carolina to be able to come to our church in some form or another, because what we have is magnificent. And I've never been involved with so many people who love so unconditionally. And that's what motherhood is really about. Motherhood is about creating that environment so that people feel that, so they can become the next step of who they're supposed to be. And I think that's why we're all here to do that. So, you already did your homework this week. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was told that we shouldn't put those flower petals into the offering bag, so I'm going to ask the kids to come around at some point with these little paper bags and collect them from you. You can just pass them to the edges of the aisle so we can grab them. And I appreciate you guys sharing with me with this, because I think it's important and it keeps us intentional and it makes us be on purpose. And that's what this is all supposed to be about. So thank you for the opportunity letting the kids come in here today and for giving me the chance to speak. It's very different being up here as a talker instead of a singer. Whew, is it different? But thank you very much. I know in the announcements we're having this Mother's Day tea, and it is open for every mother, but after the talk, I think that we should all agree that there is a mother in all of us. So male, female, kids, or no kids, show up for this tea. Thank you very much for what you bring to the world and the conditions that you offer for us to all become the best of us that we can. So namaste. Thank you.